Hi, how you doing?
Hi, good. How are you, Tim?
Good.
Good. It's so nice to
Oh,
meet you.
yeah, you too. Where are you calling from?
I am from Townsville, Australia. Well, I'm calling from Townsville,
Love it.
Australia. Yep. And where are you at right now?
I'm home in San Diego.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is COVID still bad in San Diego right now?
It's simmering. It's not too bad in California,
Okay.
but in other parts of the country, it's pretty bad. Yeah, but
Gotcha.
California, it's pretty controlled. You know.
Good. Good. Well, it's really nice to meet you. I do just have to get this out there before we start the interview. I've been listening to you, I think, since I was 8, since your 1999 album. Um, and I was,
Wow.
yeah, it's so cool. I was able to tell my family and friends yesterday that I was going to be able to interview you, and they were all so excited. And they were like, tell him we said we really love him. And we've been listening to Switchfoot for many, many years. So, really, really good to be able to do this today.
I love it.
Yep.
I love it. Well, I'm honored.
Thanks. All right. Well, we are a Christian community radio station here in Townsville. And I'm specifically honored to be able to do this interview with you because I just started up a new show. It's called Sunday Spotlight, where I spotlight one artist every week. And so I'm excited for the launch of your brand new album, but really excited to be able to add this to the show and spend my Sunday show highlighting Switchfoot. So it'll be really cool to go back to the very beginning when you guys started and then bring them right along the journey to this brand new album. So,
Love it.
yeah. All right. So I'm going to try to focus this interview on the new album, of course. I think that's why they've set up a lot of interviews with you guys. So I do just want to talk a little bit about the album leading into it, and then I'll just ask away if that's okay.
Sounds great.
All right, perfect. So you might have to correct me on how you guys are pronouncing the title of this album. So it's Interrobang?
We
Interrobang?
pronounce it Interrobang.
Interrobang. Okay.
Interrobang. Yeah.
And it's supposed to be a childlike imagination and futuristic mindset that you're bringing to this new 12 full length album, 12 track album, correct? Or this is your 12th full length album.
11. It's our 12th record. Yep.
Okay,
11
perfect.
songs on the album. Yeah.
And this is 20 plus years that you guys are adding to this album. And you're saying that this is a sound unlike anything that you've done before.
Yeah. We really gave ourselves a lot of freedom in the studio to make exactly the album that we wanted to make without thinking of the voices outside of that room.
Right. So good. Okay, so can you explain a little bit about what interrobang actually means? How do you define it?
So Interrobang is actually the name of the punctuation mark that is an exclamation mark on top of a question mark.
Okay.
Two things at the same time, two different things coexisting. And I think you couldn't find a better symbol for the world we're living in right now than the Interrobang.
So true. Is that why you guys named it that? Just because of everything that's going on right now, or what's the story behind that?
Yeah, we wanted this album to be meeting the moment,
Mm-hmm.
singing into the storm, as it were, and I think when life's good and life's easy, I go surfing,
Hmm.
and when life's challenging and I've got lots of questions, we write music,
Yep.
and so 2020, 2021, it's been a good season for writing songs. There's a lot to write about.
Yes. Yep. Did you find yourself, because of everything that's happening in 2021, with more time too to be able to write? I notice like a lot of artists have come out with new music because that's just the time that they're in. They have all this extra time to be able to really sit down and write. Or is this stuff that you guys have been working on even prior to COVID and everything else happening?
That's an interesting question. In answer to the first, yes, I think this is an album that we could not have made in any other season.
Mm.
we really spent a lot of time in the studio. We locked ourselves away, actually up outside of our own studio up in LA, at a famous studio called Sound City, one of our uh, favorite studios we had always wanted to record in. And I think all of these things are things that we couldn't have done in a typical year when we're touring, and um, to kind of devote that kind of focused time to really be just the five of us in a studio for that length of time. It was a really unique time for us. I think the album itself is probably the culmination of the last, 15, 20 years of being a band. There's songs that were written 15, 18 years ago on this record. And then there's also songs that were written in the last year. And it's interesting to see how some of the songs that were written so long ago have only gained in meaning since they were written. And they feel like they're more potent now than ever before.
Yep, that seems to be a common theme, I think, with some of the music coming out is it had meaning when it was written, but especially now with the times that we're in, it's just so prevalent. For those that may not have heard your full album yet, we play Fluorescent on our station. That was one of the first ones off of the album that we added to the station. But for those that may not have heard the full album in its whole, can you just give our listeners an idea of what they can expect from the tracks specifically?
Yeah, this is an album that really sounds like five guys in a room, because it was. And we were very hesitant to add anything beyond that. Mm-hmm. We really spent a lot of time crafting the parts as a five-piece, and we played all the songs together in the studio, which really doesn't happen very much anymore. And I think the rawness of the music comes through in a very unpolished, real, honest way, which is something that has been a goal of ours for some time, but is really hard to achieve many times because we love adding things on top of our music. We love creating, and it's hard to know when to stop. With this record, we were very intentional about distilling it down to just the essentials.
Mm. So then, other than it being sort of a stripped back version of your music, I said this before, and I think you've touched on it a little bit, but I did read in one of your interviews that you said that this really is unlike anything that you guys have ever done before, unlike anything that we as listeners might have heard before. What is it that sets this album apart, maybe even from just your previous albums before?
Yeah, I think in addition to its raw presentation, it's very ambitious musically. We really pushed ourselves both lyrically and chordally to go to places that we had never gone to before, or maybe had never featured on an album before. We write a lot of songs, but with the choosing of the songs and the way we kind of finished them off on this album was really pushing ourselves to explore new territory musically. And I think the lyrics are really honest. I think, I remember having conversations. One particular conversation sticks out with a neighbor of mine who, in passing, said, "I hope you're writing a lot of happy songs because we need things to distract us from all of this." And it hit me as kind of like maybe that's something we need. But I think better than that might be songs that speak to us where we are right now. And I think what's been encouraging after releasing this album is to find out how much hope and encouragement people are getting from this music, because it is saying the things that they're feeling and it's meeting them in the moment. And that in itself is an encouraging thing.
Yeah, that's so good. That's actually something that I was going to bring up is just the lyrics. I was going to say specific songs, but really the album in its entirety, some of the lyrics really stood out. And so I feel like what you just said is sort of a pitch in itself as to why people should listen to the album, because I think they really are searching for like that hope and things that really just speak to them through this time. But maybe as something to add to that. So one of the things I really just want to give our listeners, I think, a chance to understand, or maybe a reason to listen for those that haven't yet. For those that maybe haven't listened, I don't like saying this because I feel like I hope that there's no one out there that's never heard of you. But in case there's someone listening that has never heard of Switchfoot before or just didn't even know that this album has been released, can you give us, or can you give them, one good, just really good reason why they should be getting their hands on this new album?
Well, I think this album begins with the assumption that you have already lost the argument. You've already lost the argument with your neighbor, your friend, whatever the person is that you disagree with, your wife. I think that's something we can all relate to. Your mind wasn't changed and their mind wasn't changed. What happens now? Let's assume that you still have to share the same planet, live together, be friends, move on. How do you do that? That's where this album, that's the question that this album asks. It's where this album begins. It's where it lives. And I know for us in the band, it's been a really meaningful album. It's brought a lot of kind of encouragement to us, and we're hearing from a lot of people that it's doing that for them as well, because that's, I think for a lot of us, that's the reality that we find ourselves in. How do we do this? How do we stay in relationship with people that we disagree with?
Yep. And it's so important. Relationship is so important. I even dare to say why God, came to earth was to build relationship and to take us into his kingdom together. So I do have kind of a selfish question just because I'm curious, but what is your favorite track on this album and why?
I think right now, I mean, it really is an album of 11 favorites. So every day is different. But right now, and we were just rehearsing this song for our tour this fall, is a song called Lost Cause, which it asks the question, are we a lost cause or are we just lost? And I think it's ultimately, it's a hopeful song, that acknowledges that this isn't the end of the story, that there's a story still being lived out, and we're not a lost cause. This is still being written.
Yep, there's still hope. So good. All right, I have one last question, and finally, you just kind of mentioned it a little bit about your tour, but I just wanted to ask, what's next for you guys? Obviously, you said it. So looking forward to a tour. When is that going to happen? What's that going to look like? Are you already working on new music with the times that we're in? Have you guys already thought about the next project, or are you still soaking in this moment of the release of this album?
I mean, we're always thinking about new music, but we are still soaking in the moment. It's been a great week for us. It's been a really, really exciting week to see these songs go out and resonate with people. I think of all albums we've done, this one in particular, we really tried not to think about what other people would think and just write to what speaks to us, with the assumption that if it's making us cry while we're playing it at 2 a.m. at our studio, hopefully it'll do the same for someone else, and it's been great to see it responding. So yeah, we have a tour that's coming out. It starts in September, goes September, October here in the U.S. I wish we were coming to Australia, but hopefully soon. Hopefully the world gets back to normal one of these days, and we can come back to Australia. It's been too long.
Yeah, for sure. Looking forward to that. Thank you so much for doing this interview again. I'm so thankful, and I'm so excited for you guys. I'm sure plenty of people say that, but as someone who's literally grown up listening to you guys, and the release of this album, I might be wrong, but this is the first one since 2017, correct? Album? Yep.
Yeah.
So long anticipated and really excited. I think, like you said, especially, in these times, and yeah, so really good. I cannot wait to play more of your music for our station and to be able to play this interview. So thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, it's good chatting with you.
Yep, nice
Say hi to Australia for us.
Yes, I will, of course. And know that, all the way over here, we're continuing to push your guys' music and the message that you guys bring even through your lyrics. So
thanks, Abigail.
All right. Thank you. Nice to meet you.
You too. Have a good one.
Thanks. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.